Hello, everybody. I am Nick Jaafar. I am your host. Welcome to the Realtor Roundtable. This is our second episode. For those who are tuning in, thank you. Before you watch, please subscribe. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of welcoming Tarek Aoun, a realtor on our team at Keller Williams Legacy. Tarek, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nick J. Excited to be here. Excited to be on this and get this going.
Excited for you to be on here. For those who are watching, for who doesn't know Tarek Aoun, who is Tarek Aoun?
Yeah. So I started as a realtor on the Nick J team back in August of last year. So about 6 months, 7 months. Before then, I was a loan officer, mortgages for about 6 years, almost 7 years of experience. I just got married last year in June to the most amazing person in the world.
Good.
Yeah. And I just ventured, and best decision I've ever made so far.
Which one? Joining real estate or marrying Fatima? Because we love Fatima. Fatima's awesome.
That's a tough one. No, both for sure. But getting my career started in real estate has been incredible, and thanks to you being on your team and your leadership has been the best.
Well, to be honest, we've loved having you. You're an asset. You are the ultimate, in my opinion, the ultimate people's person. And in this business or in any business in general, you need to be a people person. And I think you master that, which is awesome. So mortgages before, let's go back to that. Yeah. What got you into mortgages?
So funny story, I think I got into mortgages. I started with Quicken, which is now Rocket Mortgage, back in 2018. And I was in school before I started there, and I was just like, man, I'm just going to school just to go to school. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of, my parents paid my way through college, and I honestly wasted the money, so I feel bad. But everybody kept telling me, go to Quicken. I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do it. Long hours, grinding, and just like money was never like a motive for me. And one night, I think I had some friends over. I think we were watching Monday or Thursday Night Football. And one of our good friends who's still there tells me, he's like, T, you gotta come to Quicken. Man, I don't know if I want to. He's like, no, you have to. Like, the potential is incredible. Like, the money is insane.
He is assertive.
Yeah, very assertive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive. Just joking. But anyway, so remember Wolf of Wall Street, the scene where Jonah Hill walks into the diner and sees Leo. And he says, man, how do you afford that car? He said something, whatever his job was. And
he said how much money he made.
Yeah, he said how much money he made. He said, I made $72,000. And Jonah Hill says, you show me a check for $72,000, I'll quit my job and work for you right now. It's just the same thing. I told their friend and said, show me the bonus check that you got, the commission check. He opened up his bank statement, and I've never seen that much money. As a 22-year-old, I think we were 22 at the time. I'm like, oh my God, that's nuts.
You joined the next day.
So I thought about it for a month, and I'm just like, I gotta apply. So I started. Come to find out, I actually bombed their interview with Quicken at the time, and I only got in because the person who referred me actually stuck their neck out for me. So that was nice of them, and was the best decision I ever made. And here we are now.
How was that experience? What did you learn from Rocket? Because I know a lot of people, it's very structured.
Yeah,
it's like our parents and grandparents had Ford. I always tell people that's our Rocket. Really,
it really is.
It was like an opportunity. It's very lucrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's very structured, and it's a very, very good place to work. So, what are some important things you learned from Rocket, and what have you carried on?
Yeah. So, at the time, I think I honestly started for a few factors. One of them just being I was going through a lot of like just personal things, mental battles and whatnot. I was like, I need something fresh start, something that's just going to occupy most of my time, a lot of focus. And I need a structure and discipline at the time, badly. And throughout the process, it was almost like a boot camp. You get in there, you got to do your job. And I was never a salesy person. I always never thought I'd be a salesy person. Graduated, passed the exam on the first try.
It was rare.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Awesome. I was super proud of myself. And in the first couple of months, I'm like, man, I'm not doing too well. I'm not hitting goal. I'm barely even, doing my job. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? And the person who referred me in and who got me, and I was very, still close with him. So I'd always ask him, I'd either call him while he's at work or shadow him. and just to kind of feel like what it's like to be successful in the industry. And it took a lot of things. And then once you graduate out of kind of onto a vet floor, which, at Quicken is kind of just like, now you're just graduated. I was 3 months in, and I think I was like top 3 or top 5 for 3 consecutive months in the region. Yeah.
Wow. How many people are in the region?
I'd say about 90 plus.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was super, super proud of myself. And I got to a point where like, maybe I'm just burnt out, or I'm still going through like these personal things, these mental battles. And I just kind of took a step back. And I asked for a leave of absence at the time. So I was there for about 9 months, and my RVP at the time told me, he's like, "You're lying to me." It's like, dude, he's like, "You're just bullshitting me." I'm like, "I'm bullshitting you that I'm going through these things." And he's like, "Yeah." He gave me the ultimatum. He said, "You either you stay and you fight it out, or you just leave." I'm just like, it's a crappy way to kind of just tell me that. So I took the decision and left. I took a break for about 2 months, and I decided to go back to school, and still don't know what I'm going to school for. And I think we were at our friend's condo in Florida, Tarek's condo in Florida. We're sitting on the balcony, all of us. And a good friend of ours said, once he just told me, he said, "Man, I think you're going to school for the wrong reason." He's like, "You don't know what you're doing."
I remember that.
He said, "You don't know what you're doing, and you're going to school just to tell yourself you're doing something productive." I hated school, obviously. So I'm like, no, it really, really stuck with me throughout like the past like 5-6 years since he said that. I'm like, am I just doing things just to tell myself I'm doing something, just to get by, to wake up the next morning and do the same thing that doesn't really help me or benefit me in the future? So I honestly wasted more money from my parents because they paid for school. And I decided to stop going to school again, and Priority One Lending, our recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn, who didn't even work for Priority One Lending. She just got me an interview with them. And it was a small broker shop in Livonia. And started there. I was just like, man, this is completely different than Quicken Loans. This is crazy.
What was different about it?
Quicken was thousands of employees. The structure was there. Everything was there. Discipline, leads were there. The opportunity was, at the moment, was larger at Quicken because it's endless. At Priority One at the time, I think I was one of the first 4 loan officers to ever start there. And they were referral based. So I'm like, man, how am I going to generate, referrals? Obviously, I reached out to you and, just a couple of people just to kind of get my feet wet. And I waited out and I had other opportunities to maybe just go back to Quicken and just, stick it out there. But my VPs at Priority One said, no, just wait, be patient. I promise you, great things are going to happen. And till this day, my license still holds there, and they are, the VPs there are probably some of my greatest mentors up until this point.
They're very successful, and it's kind of like the opposite of how, your Rocket VP or RVP, how he decided to handle, which it's a roller coaster, especially the real estate business. It goes up and down, and leadership has a lot to do with, you go to your superior or your mentor or your, I don't know if I'm going to say boss, but your boss, and say, hey, we do it all the time. We say, what do we do here? 1, 2, 3. And it has a lot to, how they react has a lot to do with how you react.
Oh, for sure. And I agree. And I think after that, I've learned that leadership is probably the biggest decision maker for me in what I want to do.
For most of us.
Yeah.
For most of us.
And which is funny is that when I decided to kind of part ways from the mortgage industry, I had that conversation with them and said, hey guys, this is what I'm thinking. And one of them just sat down with me for a good 45 minutes, and incredible person. He's probably one of the smartest people I've ever encountered in my life. And he was so calming. He said, whatever decision you make, we're going to back you. The door's always open for you here. We love you. If you ever want to come back, you don't got to knock, just walk in. And he said, I think you'll do really good things as a realtor. And one thing that stuck with me was very simple. He just said, Some people just need a new pair of shoes. I walked out. I said, need a new pair of shoes.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's right. You started off phenomenal.
Yeah.
You're doing great. You're helping a lot of people, and we like we say, T doesn't know. Sometimes we hit, base hits.
Yeah.
100,000, 200,000. Every time T goes into contract, it's like, I say it's unbelievable. It's the Grand Slams only,
Yeah. I try to be Barry Bonds out there.
Yeah,
but
we'll call you the Barry Bonds.
Singles are good too. So
Singles. I'm all for singles.
Yeah.
I'm all for investments, the leases. But it feels like every time you call me, and I'm that honest. Every time you call me, hey, we got this seller. We're gonna list for 700,000, 600,000.
Yeah.
So you were in the mortgage industry. Now you're in real estate. What benefits do you provide to potential clients or past clients?
Yeah.
What tie-ins have you seen with mortgages and real estate?
Yeah. So a lot of times it's in the mortgage industry, it's kind of like, it's so salesy, right? We're obviously in the industry. We're in sales. We got to get to the closing table. That's how we get paid. And I realized over the years of being in the industry is that I strive my business on being personable, understanding, and caring. And that's it. And I realized in the mortgage industry and bringing it over here is that I became a realtor because it's more personable. Right?
Very personal.
Every unless you're an investor, but there's always ties to it. First-time home buyers, second or third-time home buyers, or even just sellers, there's an emotional attachment to it, to the decision that they're making. And it kind of comes back to, me being able to understand that, that decision and the reason why they're making that decision. And I think that just relates so well, and understanding the mortgage process and just kind of carries on so well. And I think that's why I've done better than I expected, for sure.
Better than we all expected.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So I think one thing that, like, for example, we have 2 rentals. We're helping out an investor.
Right.
You're the lead on both of the rentals.
Yes.
I know you're Barry Bonds, like the Grand Slams, but the rental and what I've seen you do, which is phenomenal, because you have that mortgage experience, we fill out these applications for these potential tenants, and you look at it, and how many conversations did you have today with people who are looking to rent, and you're advising them, hey, I know the numbers, I know what your DTI needs to be, I know you can get approved for a mortgage. You've been having a lot of those conversations.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times it's people are renting because they've gotten discouraged in the past. They tried to buy in the past and they just got denied, and they just it sucks. Being turned down and being told no and rejection kills a lot of people.
For sure.
So that's why a lot of people just kind of give up and they just rent, and they rent for years and years. And my mortgage experience obviously helps me out a lot in understanding. Okay, first question is, why are we renting? What's stopping you from buying? And I actually just had a conversation this morning.
How did that conversation go?
Yeah, they've been lady and her husband have been renting downriver for some years now, and they need a new place. They're on month to month, and just asked them, hey, why haven't you guys bought yet? She said, we've never really gotten the chance to understand. We don't know what it really takes to buy, and we've never really talked to a lender or a bank. I said, lucky you. You got the best of both worlds right here. And, now she's asking me questions. What does it take? Well, how much do we need down, and credit score and things like that. And a lot of those factors, just talking to somebody just helps out a lot. And just, my goal is, even if they don't buy with me, if they buy with anybody else, the knowledge that I'm able to give these people is awesome.
Yeah,
that's why I do what I do.
I agree. And back to your point where it's all about, what did you say, the 3 things you base your business on?
Yeah, being personable, understanding, and caring.
100%.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest mentors, and I have a lot of mentors.
Yeah.
I told them, what's the number one thing? What's the number one rule? You did billions of dollars in sales. You have the 4 highest sales in the history of the Michigan MLS.
Yeah.
What's the secret? He said, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. So I think we base our business off of those 3 things exactly. Understanding, listening, caring about the situation, not, we put money or commission last. That's the last thing. That's for all, it goes for all of us, you
Right.
included. We want to make sure that we understand their situation. We want to understand why they're doing what they're doing. You got to put yourself in their shoes. And you do a very good job of that.
Thank you. And it's, coming from the mortgage side and joining your team, and obviously you're probably the biggest reason I decided to become a realtor is I had to come into your office almost just every morning, and whether you're on a phone call, I'll ask you, let me sit down and let me listen on. And, and just a lot of it helps a lot. And you always have some of the best points. And, I was just going to ask you, like, where do you get, like, your hunger and waking up every morning? Like, what helps you do that?
So you have to have big goals. You have to figure out what drives you. And you have to have big goals. First thing I do every morning before I check my email, before I open my phone, when I get into the office, first thing I do, we have our business plans.
Right.
But I have my top 3 goals, and I look at them, and I read them out loud, and it reminds you. And with your goals, you have to know what's going to happen once you achieve those goals.
Right.
How are you going to reward yourself? What's your why? And a lot goes into it, but you have to know why you're doing what you're doing, and a lot of mine comes from competitiveness. I'm a very competitive person.
Oh, I know.
And I went to, me and Rod, we were on a football team from 7th grade to 12th grade.
Yeah.
And you practice all the way for your junior and senior year.
Those weren't the best years, by the way.
Huh?
Those weren't the best years for
football?
For high school football.
That's absolutely terrible. So, and we always say, like, we are so driven.
Yeah.
We are the most driven people for each other. Like, he's the most driven person I know. I'm the most driven person he knows. And we always go back to, when you work out at 6 a.m. in the summer, you skip your summer, you do 2-a-days, and then you work, and then you lose. It hurts. And it makes you remember, like, in life, you'll lose too. And that sting you get and that fire you get, use it as what's the word I'm looking for? Use it as motivation.
Yeah.
Use it as your motivation to move forward for the next day. Remember, because so when something happens, when you lose a deal, whether it's a client losing a deal or an agent losing a deal, and they're upset, and we all, it happens. We try not to get attached to the deal, but sometimes you do.
Right.
I tell them, that's feeling, remember the feeling, and you'll know how to react next time. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You always give, like, anytime I have those situations, you're always the go-to. You always just have such a good response. I'm just like, man, how?
Just experience.
Yeah.
Experience.
And it's crazy because I think when we actually studied for the real estate exam together.
At Lava.
We
did.
And you decided to continue, and I decided, I think I stopped, and I think that's when I went to Rocket. And, there's a lot of people I look up to. You're one of them, Rod's one of them, and Moasi. You guys are incredible people. We're surrounded by a really good group of friends. We have doctors, we have lawyers in a very, I don't want to say like big circle, but a very close circle.
100%.
A lot of successful people, and it helps. It kind of fuels me, and every single day I'm like, man, these guys are doing so well. Like, I love it, and it kind of helps.
Your net worth is your network, and the people you surround yourself, the people who are feeding stuff into your ear, and that really, it makes you feel a certain way. If you're around positive people talking about business, talking about bettering themselves, talking about, togetherness and getting better, then that's all you're going to feel. It's going to motivate you. And if you're around people who are doing the opposite, it's going to demotivate you. So I'm very specific about my time, especially since I'm married and I have kids. When I go home, I want to just go home. But if I do leave and I do hang out, it's going to be with people who are going to be very positive. We're on the same wavelength, people who think abundantly. We're all happy for each other. I want this person to be more successful than me, and we all can be successful.
Right.
If you're around people who are happy for other people's success, that's my kind of crew. Those are my people.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's another thing that motivates us. We're around each other. I'm around you. I'm around all these other guys, and we're happy for each other. We help each other grow, and it's like a community.
It really is, and I think that's like so important. So you nailed it. It's just like, what's that saying? Birds who flock together, or I can't even think of the saying, but you get the point.
100%.
And honestly, we're so fortunate that we have this group of people.
Very.
And we're just lucky.
Beyond lucky. I agree.
I've always wanted to ask you, like, you've been, what is it now, 6 years, 7 years?
In real estate?
Yeah.
7.
Oh my God. So, like, obviously 2021, 2022, anybody in the industry kind of just popped off,
yes.
Right? The market was crazy. Even in the mortgage industry, we've seen rates that we never thought we'd see. It was so easy for people. Now coming into 2023, nobody saw this coming that fast. What was the difference for you that you saw from previous years and then last year? And then how do you how would you carry it on to this coming year?
So Michael Phillips said in our award ceremony, who's our broker and, in my opinion, the best real estate agent in the area, he said that in his 25 years of experience, this was the hardest year he's ever seen.
Right.
Because in the foreclosure days, there's a lot of inventory. It just went from 200,000 to 80,000. And the COVID days, it was just highest and best. Here, there was just no deals. It's very hard to tell someone, hey, interest rates last year were 2%. You got a 2% rate because Tarek probably refinanced you.
Yeah.
Do you want to sell your house and then go buy one for 8%? It's not many people are going to say yeah. So what we did was we're very, like we said a few times, personable.
Right.
When you're ready to move, whether you're getting married, whether you're downsizing, whether you're upgrading, whatever the case may be, we're here. So we like to leave that door open. Now, not many people were moving. So what we did was we focused on a lot of investors, because regardless of the market, an investor needs that depreciation, they need the tax write-off, they need to put their money somewhere.
Yeah.
So we focused on a lot of investors, a lot of people who did multiple deals. We actually went from, I think, our volume dropped in the 30s to the 20s in million.
Yeah.
But our units actually went up from about 100 to 117. So we had more units, even though there was less people buying and selling. For the people who did, we like to be there. We like to be in top of mind and let them know, hey, if it doesn't make sense for you to move, don't move. But if it does, we assess the situation and see what works best. I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year. I think people have come to the conclusion that 2% interest rates, that ship has sailed.
Never coming back.
It's never coming back. So if you find a house that you want to move to or makes sense, then you could do it.
Yeah.
So I think people are getting more accustomed to it. I think it was a big shock immediately, a big shock.
Yeah, big time.
But I'm huge on self-talk, and I tell you guys all the time, it's all about what you tell yourself. If you tell yourself, hey, the market is crashing and this and that, I mean, if you price right, market right, you're going to have multiple offers, highest and best.
Right.
We're still seeing it today. So I think no one knows the future. No one can predict the market, but we can take care of what's going on now. And last year was a shock. This year, people have come to the point where, hey, this is the market. 2% interest rates are gone. And I think we're going to see it's getting more realistic next year, I think. If interest rates drop a little more, then it's going to be a crazy market.
Yeah, for sure. Especially being in the, in the mortgage industry, it takes a while for people to understand that, when they saw the rates going up, they're going to keep waiting for them. Hopefully they're coming down, and they just kept going up. And it takes a while for people to kind of settle down and saying, just like you said, it's what it is, right? If they have to make a decision, now they're going to make the decision. So I love that point. Now, you mentioned like investors. 2020 last year, were kind of, you focused a lot on investors. I'm not an investor yet. My goal of 2024 is to have my first investment property. What advice, like for myself or just people out there who haven't invested yet, what advice do you have for them?
It's always better to have your money in a property than anywhere else. Over a 30-year period, we anticipate it will appreciate 2% a year at minimum. Might go up, might go down, but over 30 years, about 2 to 3% per year is what we anticipate. So just if you have a little bit of money set to the side, whether you're a business owner, whether you have money in a 401k, whether you're 9 to 5, whatever the case may be, make it a priority to invest. The tax write-offs, the incentives, it's over time, the appreciation, there's so much that goes into it. Just find a way to do it. Find a way to invest your money into a property. You can never go wrong. You can never go wrong. But what if the market crashes? Don't sell. Just be patient, right? Just be patient. Think about it. You buy a house for, let's say, $100,000. You pay $20,000 for the house,
Yep.
right? You make a little bit of money every month. You have no payment. You don't pay the payment. A tenant pays the payment. And then over time, it's worth more. You owe less. You have equity. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000 and it's worth $200,000 in 5 years. You're a mortgage banker. How much can you pull out?
80% of that. Well, on an investment property, 75% of that.
75%.
Yep.
Let's say I wanted to pull out $50,000 from a house, right?
Yeah.
How much of that, what are my taxes on the money I pull from that house?
Well, if it's free and clear, it doesn't even...
There's no taxes.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me if I buy a house at $100,000, right, and it goes to $200,000, I have $100,000 of equity, I could pull out $80,000, right?
75.
Let's say 50. I could take the $50,000 and go, or $60,000, put $30,000 on 2 other properties, and I pay no taxes on the money that I got. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a no-brainer.
Genius.
Yeah. So, and then I also tell people a lot of people go through spurts of a time where their business is thriving, and whether it's COVID and they're making a lot of money, put it in a property. Put it in a property. Very rarely are people going to save it and save it and save it. You're going to spend it. Put it in a property. So you have something to show for it in 5 years. Hey, in 2020, I had a great year. I had a great 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, what do you have to show for it? If you don't invest in nothing, sure, you can invest in stocks. You can invest in bonds. You can. I'm not well versed on that. I'm not too educated on it. But coming from someone who deals with real estate every day, if you bought a lot of property, 5 years ago, you have something to show for it.
You're sitting pretty right now.
You're sitting very pretty.
Man, I love it. And it's like, it's just almost like the thing when people always ask us, we always get the questions, it's like, what if the market comes down? What's going to happen? And I don't want to overpay right now. Even on investment properties, it's like crazy. Like when I bought my condo, you actually helped me buy my condo in 2021. I don't even know. It's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, in July, it's been 3 years. When I bought my condo, I didn't even think about, am I overpaying for this or am I not? Who knows? I'll never know. Guess what? 2 years later or 3 years later now, I'm thinking, I got such a steal. And it's everybody who thinks, I don't really want to overpay. But guess what? People who bought in 2020, 2021, they might have overpaid. But guess what? They look like geniuses right now. And in the future, everybody's going to feel that same way. So like, it's always crazy to me that people just kind of, they're not educated.
Well, I mean, I've never heard someone say, and I've mentioned this before, I've never heard someone say, I bought this house in 2020. I wish I would have waited to 2024.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say that, ever. All the time I hear someone say, like I was sitting with a friend yesterday, and he said, the 2 regrets of my life was not buying the house across the street for $93,000.
Yeah.
When I told them, you really should buy this house, man. You should buy the house. Yeah. They said, no, we're going to take a vacation instead. They did.
Yeah.
$93,000. Guess what the house is worth today?
Probably 170.
No, well over 200,000.
Wow.
Well over 200,000. And then he said the other house was on a corner, and you told me to buy it, and I just, I didn't know if the market was going to crash and this and that. So a friend of ours was sitting by him and said, when do you know that it's a steal? He said, in 5 years.
That's it.
In 5 years, you say, man, that was a steal.
That's it.
So buy now. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. It's the truest thing ever.
And I wish I wish I did that like 2-3. Like I was always a person that invested in the stocks, and did it work out for me? No. I wish I listened to you at the time. I probably could have had,
It's a learning experience.
It really is.
It's a learning experience. Would you rather make that mistake when you're in your 20s or in your 40s?
In the 20s.
Will you make that mistake in your 40s?
Hopefully not. No.
It's good.
No. So that's awesome. It's awesome.
Back to my point, buy real estate and wait. Especially when we have a lot of conversations about residential, but in commercial, you never know what's going to happen. You never know about the zoning. You never know what something's worth. You never know. Like, for example, people who bought on West Village Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We were walking by yesterday. All the buildings on West Village Drive, whoever bought a building, someone told them they overpaid. Fast forward, there's a parking lot that's been vacant for God knows how long, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
The city's going to invest 10, 15, maybe $20 million in a Peace Park. You're across the street from there. What did you do? Did you wait to buy real estate? No, you bought real estate and you waited. So it just goes to show you, that's the play. That is the play.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
At least you don't want it. Sell it.
I love it.
You're in a jam. Refinance.
Yeah.
Sell it.
And just like you said a couple minutes ago, is what if I lose? And what happens? Just like the stock market, you only lose if you sell. It's what goes up. I always told myself, what goes up is might go down, but what goes down is gonna come back up. Especially in real estate, is I think over the last, I want to say 10 years, out of the 120 months, over the last 10 years, there's only been 4 months out of the 120 months that there's been a depreciation in home values.
Really?
Crazy.
Wow.
And I think I read it back in either last
4 months.
They didn't show the chart, but it was just 4 months out of the last 120 that there was a depreciation in home values. And, it's crazy. When I bought my condo, I think the home has appreciated, I want to say 24%, which is 2 years.
Crazy.
2.5 years.
Crazy.
And there's just...
My thoughts are, when people are scared by the first week of COVID, they started shutting everything down. I think it was a week that they found someone in Dearborn Public Schools had COVID. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And I had a very good friend of mine who, there was a house listed, I think, for 105. It was in 48125. I forget the street. And I got it for $95,000.
Wow.
Right? It was a done deal. The owner was in California and said, hey, Nick, I know you guys are going to close $95,000. And we had a private inspection. Private inspection went great, but we're still in that contingency. And the guy called me and he said, we're going to back out. I said, why? He said, I don't know what's going on. Look, man, I got a lot of friends in government and they're scared. And
the buyer backed out?
The buyer backed out.
Oh, my God.
I said, and I called and it was such a scary time.
Yeah.
It was very uncertain times.
For sure.
So I called the other agent and I said, hey, bad news. This guy's scared. I mean, the world's shutting down. It was in the first week where you go on CNN and you see they have a count.
Oh, yeah.
Every time someone has COVID, they put it up. So he was so understanding. He said, I understand, man. He said, I completely understand. It's crazy times. That same house is worth $200,000. And this isn't like 10 years later, 20 years later. I'm talking about if someone put $20,000 down on a house, less than $100,000. He's probably going to watch this. I'm sorry. Less than $100,000. One on the same street, outdated, sold for $180,000 last week.
Wow.
And I didn't even send it to him because I'm not that, I told you so kind of guy. But I just said, man, but it's a lesson I learned. I can share that with someone. Next time something happens, whether it's a storm or a pandemic or whatever, when people are scared, that's when you buy.
Yeah.
That's something I won't forget for sure.
What's the saying? Scared money don't make no money?
That's right. That's right.
I love it. So coming back to, you started the team. I've always wanted to ask you this too, like over the last couple of years when you first started the Nick Jaafar team. What got you to want to start the team?
Not being able to be everywhere at once and still giving good service, because as any organization grows, and once you've been around for a few years, then you get busier. And first thing, we started off with one assistant, got up to 2 assistants, then a buyer's agent, then a director of operations. So you just want to structure it. And really, one thing about Keller Williams, when Keller Williams Legacy came to Dearborn, there was not many teams in the area. There's a lot of teams now, especially in our office, and they do a great job of teaching you structure. You know, you don't want to work 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. You don't. It's not a way of life. You want a work-life balance. That's one thing they stress here, Mike, Wael, the Keller Williams in general. And it's very important that you have a work-life balance, you know. You can't be everywhere at once. And if you're everywhere at once, you're going to be very stressed. You're going to have no balance, or you're not going to provide good service. So it's always best to delegate. And that's where we're going, and we're going to grow. The busier we get, we're going to grow more and more, and still try to provide that good service with having a good work-life balance. You want to be able to go on vacation. I travel a lot.
You do?
Yeah, I travel a lot, and I want to...
jealous, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, but you will too. And that's the point of, if you want to be traveling, it's good to be on a team. We can depend on each other. Hey, Tarek, I can't do this. Zach, I can't, and we all help each other.
Yeah, funny stories. I think the first month I started, I went to Arizona. And we had a deal under contract.
Oh,
and I think it was the second day in there, and you called me. He said, "Hey, T, so-and-so." It was the day before closing. You said, "Hey, so-and-so, I know you're on vacation. I just want to let you know, not for the bad news, but at least if you take the bad news, you're on vacation, you're in the sun." And you say, "They backed out day before closing." I'm like, "Oh my God."
You told me you're joking.
Yeah, that's what it was. I start laughing, and I'm just like, no, come on. And he said, no, I'm serious. You start laughing. You said, no, it really happened. But then he said, "Anyway, enjoy your vacation, bye." And I was like, this really just happened?
So I felt very bad.
Yeah.
I felt very bad because it was your first deal.
Yeah.
It was Barry Bonds, like a $500,000 deal. So we went to the walkthrough. Everything was great. They started envisioning. It was a private backyard. It was 45 minutes from our office, so 45 minutes there. I said, "Hey, we're 45 minutes away." Walkthrough went great. We said, "We're 45 minutes away. I'm going to go to the mall." And so me and Zach are shopping, and he calls me, and just like you, I'm thinking, he's messing with me. We were just there. He didn't say nothing. He told me, "Hey, Nick, I got bad news. We're going to back out." I still think that's funny. He said, "No, I'm dead serious. My wife doesn't want the house." I said, "Oh, are you sure?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay. All right. So, are you going to fight for the deposit?" He said, "No, they can have it." I said, "Okay." So, I don't know if you've watched The Godfather, but you got to deliver bad news fast. That's something I live by.
You're very big on that.
I don't hold it in and wait and delay. Bad news fast. I called the other agent. I think she started crying. She said, "My client sold their house, they bought a house, or they're supposed to close, they're under contract in Las Vegas, Nevada, and this, that." I said, "Hey, don't shoot the messenger. It's out of my control, and I'm all about what can I control. Can I force him to buy a house? Of course not.
Yeah.
You can't force someone to buy a house." I said, "Hey, he backed out. You keep the deposit. I'm sorry." And she was so upset with me. Thankfully, they found another buyer quickly. But then I told you, T, good news is you're in the sun. Bad news is bad news is they backed out. We're moving on. And I believe in something. If you're upset with something, be upset with it for about 3 minutes. Write the address down. Write the thing you're mad about down. Look at it. Crumble it up on a piece of paper and throw it away. And forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Move on. That's my train of thought. Move on. You can't harp on it. Move on and think of something else. Go to work. Go do something else.
Yeah.
So,
man, that is funny. It's because I think it was on. We were driving to Mexico.
Also,
Man, we were driving to Mexico when you call and sitting there and. All right. It is what it is. I got to make it up when I get back.
Yeah.
That's funny, and just kind of to jump on what you said, just about focusing on things that you can control and can't control.
Right.
I've especially over the last, over the years is don't attach yourself to things you can't control.
100%.
You just got to move on.
Move on.
That's it. things you can control, you can maybe, beat yourself up, over it. But at the same time, it's just like 3-second rule would do whatever you just said, crumble it and throw it away.
Another rule is Dr. K, Cars and Coaching. I share him on social media sometimes.
Yeah.
He posted one of my favorite videos he's ever posted, the 10-10-10 rule. Is this, you're upset, right? They backed out of the deal. Are you going to be mad about this in 10 minutes? Yes. Are you going to be mad about this in 10 months? Are you going to be mad about this in 10 years? And if the answer is no, for number 2 or number 3, that's fine. Be mad about it for 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be, and move on.
That's it.
Move on. And most of the time, it's not going to affect you in 10 months, and it's not going to affect you in 10 years.
Yeah.
So
I already forgot about it until just now. It's just a funny story.
No, it's funny.
Yeah,
it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're sitting, you're on vacation, you're probably, you're driving, waiting to check your bank account, and then the deal died, and it's really awkward.
I'm like, oh, should I just swerve a little bit? No, it was funny though. Love it.
So what has led Tarek Aoun here? What experiences has led you to where you are here on the team at Keller Williams, thriving, married, successful? What has led you here?
Yeah. Might get emotional during this, but it's a lot of personal battles, mental battles, and stuff.
We'll
like
have
that.
first a mental battle.
Yeah, and I went through it for a very long time, and that's probably why I couldn't stay consistent. And earlier in my life is, making decisions that probably weren't the best for me at the time, and just a lot of those things. And probably I got tattoos, and a lot of it's just for things that I went through and put myself through, and decisions I've made. And what got me here is experiences, just through life, I put myself through a ton, and I just clawed my way out. And I always tell myself is I can either be safe and walk in the shallow or tread water until I can learn how to swim. And I was a damn good swimmer when I was younger, so I just
It's good.
kept treading and kept swimming. So luckily I'm here and on the Nick J team, and Keller Williams' legacy is, best place probably. I don't want to say probably, is the best place to be at, for sure.
And why is that?
Just the we always have a saying, what's it, man? The family atmosphere.
Yeah.
Man, lava. Yeah, lava. It's the family atmosphere, and this is like, I feel like I'm at home. I leave work in the or I leave home in the morning. I just come home.
Yeah.
Come home, and it's just like that's it. I leave one place, and come to another, and I feel welcome,
100%.
feel wanted. And whenever I need something, whether it's from you, whether it's from Zach, or there'll be times I'll just text Mike Phillips and a question, or in general, whatever it might be, and the answers are always there, and opinions are always there, and that's what I look for is knowledge, experience, and I can feed off of you and Zach and other agents in the building if I need to, and that's what's important to me.
100%. Family is important. And I was talking to my coach earlier, and we're, talking about growth and what our next steps are,
Yeah.
and what we're going to do to grow. And he asked me what's important, and I said, I want to be like family. When those come in, different agents, whether it be admin, whatever, family. So Keller Williams legacy, one thing about this place, like you said, it's like a family. We care for each other. We love each other. We love to see each other do good.
Big time.
And we like to take that from top to bottom. So from Keller Williams all the way down to the team. I want to be a family atmosphere. When you leave home, you don't want to act like you're coming to work. You're going from home to home, and you're 100% on point with that.
Yeah.
That's what we strive to do.
Yeah. It's just, obviously, like, there's always a saying, kind of, don't get too comfortable, because, somebody once told me, nothing beautiful grows in the comfort zone.
100%.
And, it's just kind of like, it's comfortable feeling uncomfortable.
100%.
And that's what I get here. It's just like, you always give me new challenges every single day. And, it's awesome. You always come into your office. Did you do what you're supposed to do? Did you write it down? Did you write it down? Did you write it down? I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need in my life. Yeah. I need that structure that you give
We
me.
all do.
Yeah, we really do. Especially me, because some things I do lack is probably just, a little bit of discipline. which you helped me out so much with it.
If no one helps you to be accountable, no one's going to be accountable.
Yeah. And it's awesome. And I realized how great of a place it was when I actually, I reached out to Mike Phillips last week, and I wanted a book recommendation for discipline. And he responded right away, and he's, said, I'll get back to you. Let me comb my thoughts. I said, perfect. And he got back to me the next day. He gave me an idea, and he said, listen, T, my door is always open. Whatever you need, my door is always open. It was like, man, I got my team leader here, who's the door is always open, and I got the broker, Mike Phillips, and says if he tells me the door is always open, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else.
100%. And I think that's how Keller Williams grew so big, because the door is always open. Whether you just started or you've been in the business or you're a veteran, Mike and Wael, they do a great job of being helpful, but with the mindset of abundance,
Big time.
Mindset of abundance. There's always enough time. There's always enough time in the day. 190 agents here. You texted him. He thought about it. Gave you a book recommendation the next day. Didn't forget about it. And it goes to show what kind of atmosphere it is here at Keller Williams Legacy. And I'm so blessed, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
I second that for sure.
You mentioned something about writing it down.
Yeah.
And it's so important. It's like my number one rule in the world. I was driving with one of my mentors in Boston, and it was always my dream to have a Porsche truck. And we're driving, and I said, "Oh, that's a black Porsche truck with red interior. I want a car like that." He said, "Did you write it down?" I said, "Yeah, I did actually." He said, "Then you'll get one." And sure enough, a few months later, I got one. So it's very important to write things down.
Yeah.
Your goals, your task lists, your goals.
Yeah. It goes, I never really did that in the past. I just kind of, I did life as life. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go to work, maybe go to the gym, just my daily life. And then I get here, it's kind of like, all right, this is our business plan. This is what we have to do. What's our, 1 year goal? What's our 3 year goal, 5, and so on, and our life goal. And then, I was fortunate enough to have you send me over to the Glover U, the event back in, I think it was October. And we did the same exact thing. We got almost like a vision board. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've done a vision board in, maybe high school. I don't even know when.
It's huge.
And I still have it. It's obviously, it's in my room, and my wife laid it out on the door before I leave every single morning. She taped it to the door, and she looked at me. She said, "I want you to read this every single morning before you leave."
Uh-huh.
And, it's helped out a lot.
It's huge.
I love it.
It's everything. One of the things I wrote on my first vision board here at Keller Williams was Michigan and the Rose Bowl. And now, if you told me Michigan and the Rose Bowl,
and you would be there,
I'd be there. Michigan and the Rose Bowl, overtime. I don't know if they should thank me for that. 'Cause I put that into the world. I wrote, I think it's on that vision board, in Michigan at the Rose Bowl. I didn't know we'd be a national championship, Alabama overtime, but that's me.
You told me that actually just before, I think earlier in the Michigan season. So man, I want to go to the Rose Bowl. I hope Michigan makes the Rose Bowl. Michigan makes the Rose Bowl, and
I think I manifested that.
You did. You honestly did.
I did.
You really did. You got to go to the West Coast, and
I only went for a day, so it was a 6-hour flight there, 6-hour flight back, and during the game they're losing. I had an anxiety attack. I said, I flew 6 hours to be here one day to watch them lose, to fly back 6 hours, and they won. Yeah, it was.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. How else has writing stuff down affected you? What effect has it had on you?
Yeah, so I think just like my wife always gives me crap for this. Is like I think I just have a short-term memory loss. Like I really just, for some reason, she tells me to do something, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's like in the morning when I wake up, it's just like I have to think so hard about what I have to do that day. So now, writing things down, whether it's my goals, or whether it's my task for the next day, what I have to do, it helps me remember. That's for sure. But it also just reminds me of, what I'm doing and my path to end of the life goal, I guess. And you asked me, I think it was last week, you said, your number one priority this entire week is to figure out what motivates you. And I, for years and years, it's never, like, I always thought what motivated me. For some people, it's money. It's, it's being happy. And obviously those factors have an effect on us. And I just could never figure it out. And I realized it was lost opportunity. And not to kind of just sound like, I guess, cocky or anything, but I feel like I can almost do anything. Almost do anything. And I realize it's like, if I don't give 110%, then I'm cheating myself. And I would probably realize over the last couple of years that I'm probably at 60, 70%. And they'd always ask me at priority one. And when I had monster months and I do so well and I had stretches, they always told me, you're at 100%, you're at 100%, you're doing awesome. But then when it started to lax a little bit, they'd always tell me, T, you're at 30%, maybe 40%. Like, what are you doing? Like, you realize if you're at 100%, you can.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. And so I just really thought about it like, I'm cheating myself if I don't really give 110%. It's lost opportunity. And I know my potential is through the roof. And we can, as a team, it's Lil Wayne always says, sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I agree.
Writing those things down kind of just propels me into, not losing out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Love it. T, thank you for joining us. Hopefully this will be first of many that you'd be featured on. Keep up the great work. Keep writing things down. God bless you.
Love you guys, man. Thank you.
Love you too, brother.
Excited.
Thank you for joining us this week at the Realtor Roundtable. Please like and subscribe. If you liked it, subscribe. If you didn't like it, subscribe. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.